Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Charlie Sheen, John Galliano, Louis Farrakhan. Who doesn't have something interesting to say about the Jews these days? Connecting with the next generation of religious leaders, and this rabbinical student prepares to return to the boxing ring. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. It's been a very special week for famous people saying crazy things about Jews. One of the top designers in the fashion world, John Galliano, was fired by the Christian Dior fashion label for a series of bigoted statements and for allegedly assaulting a Jewish couple. Actor Charlie Sheen thinks it's very important that you know his producer's Hebrew name, while the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, reportedly declared there's a Jewish conspiracy to harm him at London's The Guardian newspaper. Wait, we're not done. Iran thinks the London Olympics logo spells out the word Zion and must be changed, while Louis Farrakhan wants to remind you that, quote, Zionists dominate the U.S. government and banks. In case you're checking your calendars, no, the Jewish celebration of satire, that is the holiday of Purim, is not until March 20th. This really all just happened this week. Let's start with the fellow who upset a pregnant Natalie Portman. That would be fashion designer John Galliano, arrested at a bar in Paris last week for allegedly assaulting a couple while making anti-Semitic references to them. He was initially suspended by Christian Dior pending further details, but owing to our current era of the internet and digital cameras, further details were quick in coming, as Galliano was soon revealed to have a history of this behavior. In this video taken some months ago, Galliano had the following to say to a couple.
Are you blonde? Are you blonde with
No, but I love Hitler. People like you would be dead today. Your mothers, your forefathers would be gassed.
Oh my God.
And then Natalie Portman got involved. The newly awarded Best Actress winner is the face of one of the fashion house's perfumes and frequently wears its gowns. Portman released a statement critical of Galliano, saying, I am deeply shocked and disgusted by the video. In light of this video, as an individual who is proud to be Jewish, I will not be associated with Mr. Galliano in any way. And then Galliano went from suspended by Dior to fired. On Wednesday, he issued a statement denying the allegations made against him during the arrest and concluded by saying, Anti-Semitism and racism have no part in our society. I unreservedly apologize for my behavior in causing any offense. Sticking with the celebrity world, there's the story of Charlie Sheen. Much about the actor has been in the news lately, but he raised some Jewish eyebrows when, in attacking the producer of his TV show, Chuck Lorre, Sheen made part of that attack Lorre's Hebrew name, Chaim Levine. Here's the audio.
Well, yeah, but Alex, I got to tell you, man, I'm tired of being told, like, oh, you can't talk about that, you can't talk about that. Bull, S-H-I-T. Let me just say this, that it's nothing this side of deplorable that a certain Chaim Levine, yeah, that's Chuck's real name, mistook this rock star for his own selfish exit strategy, bro. Check it, Alex. I embarrassed him in front of his children and the world by healing at a pace that his unevolved mind cannot process. Okay, last I checked, Chaim, I've spent, I think, close to the last decade, I don't know, effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold. And the gratitude I get is this charlatan chose not to do his job, which is to write. Clearly someone who believes he is above the law.
Sheen also apparently referred to Lorre as a, quote, turd. Sheen was criticized by the Anti-Defamation League for his choosing to attack his producer while using the producer's Hebrew name, but Sheen had a response to that criticism in an interview with Good Morning America in which he said, so you're telling me anytime someone calls me Carlos Estevez, I can claim they are anti-Latino? Just for the record, the Jewish Channel has no plans to criticize Charlie Sheen while using the name Carlos Estevez for fear of expressing anti-Latino sentiments. But it's not all bad news for Sheen and the Jews, as he's got celebrity allies willing to come to his side. Prominent among them, Sheen has said in repeated interviews, is Mel Gibson. Moving on from a man who's giving too many interviews to a man in trouble for releasing too many documents, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who in a phone call with British magazine Private Eye, allegedly stated that an article that linked one of his associates with Holocaust denial was part of a conspiracy led by Jewish writers. Assange is denying the report, though, and released a statement declaring that the editor of the magazine, quote, has distorted, invented, or misremembered almost every significant claim and phrase. In particular, Jewish conspiracy is completely false in spirit and in word. It is serious and upsetting. Meantime, when it comes to conspiracy theorizing about the Jews, few are better than Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, who told members at an annual meeting on Tuesday that Jews and Zionists are, quote, trying to push the U.S. into war with Libya. Farrakhan referred to Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi as, quote, my brother and my friend. In a more detailed statement about his feelings toward Jews, Farrakhan said, some of you think that I'm just somebody who's got something out for the Jewish people. You're stupid. Do you think I would waste my time if I did not think it was important for you to know Satan? My job is to pull the cover off of Satan so that he will never deceive you and the people of the world again. But moving on from Farrakhan's Nation of Islam to an actual Islamic nation, this logo for the 2012 Olympics has become an object of protest for Iran, where it's claimed that the 2012 of the logo actually spells out the word Zion. The head of Iran's National Olympic Committee stated as much in a letter of protest to the International Olympic Committee, stating in part, the use of the word Zion by the designer of the Olympics logo in the emblem of the Olympic Games 2012 is a very revolting act that could affect the participation of several countries, especially like Iran, which insists on following principles and values. So with all of this week's interesting news behind us, what does the future hold for Jewish relations? Rebecca Honig-Friedman found out at an event featuring religious leaders of the next generation.
What does the next generation of religious leadership look like? An interfaith panel at the Jewish Theological Seminary this week gave some answers.
Some are in bricks and mortar, some are doing piecework, some are about to finish their doctoral dissertations.
Titled Gen Next, Religious Leaders Under 40, the panel featured 3 such young leaders from different faiths who shared their own personal journeys to religious leadership. For Rabbi Melissa Weintraub, the co-founder of Encounter, an organization that fosters face-to-face meetings between Jewish community leaders and Palestinians, that meant
how a Jewish girl from the Midwest ended up shuttling between rabbinical school and Palestinian front stoops.
Representing young Muslim leadership was Haroon Mogul, the executive director of the Maidan Institute, which provides media training and education to the American Muslim community. Mogul spoke of being pushed into a leadership role as a college student because of his education and upbringing in a religious Muslim family.
I didn't really know what I was supposed to do with myself or what my identity was as a Muslim, but I sort of fell into a leadership role where people said, hey, you know how to give a sermon, there's only like one other person who does, so you should do the sermon. Or you know what this is or you know what that is, so why don't you do this or that?
The Christian representative on the panel, Reverend Elizabeth Garnsey, an Episcopalian priest at the Church of the Heavenly Rest in Manhattan, also came from a conservative religious home.
In our house, God was a Republican and God was an American.
Garnsey was originally supposed to moderate the discussion, but filled in as a panelist when Valerie Carr, a filmmaker and leader in the Sikh community who was scheduled to participate, came down with a bad flu. JTS professor and event organizer Rabbi Bert Vysotsky filled in as moderator, while Garnsey explained how her experiences growing up in a Pentecostal church in Colorado initially turned her off to organized religion.
I felt really, really traumatized, and so every Sunday became a war between my mother and I about me not wanting to go and her saying, well, you're going to miss your miracle. And so by the time I was 18, I could go to college and never go to church again, and that's just exactly what I did.
To hear more from these young religious leaders, watch the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. One soon-to-be member of the clergy is rabbinical student and Orthodox Jewish professional boxer Yuri Foreman, who's gearing up for a fight this week. Christian Needon stopped by one of his training sessions to see how he's doing.
Yuri Foreman was back in the ring this week, giving a public exhibition of his training regimen in advance of a March 12th fight in Las Vegas. The former super welterweight champion and future rabbi was at Kingsway Gym on 28th Street in Manhattan, showing off both his punching prowess and some lively footwork. He also gave the impression he's recovered from major knee surgery by not wearing his signature knee brace, a choice he explained afterwards during a ringside press conference.
With that brace, it feels good, you know, it feels good, no problem, you know, it feels kind of freedom, because I knew that a certain step that I make, sometimes when I'm moving around the ring, it's always makes the knee popping out, you know, so I had always in my mind kind of like, I better be careful the way I step, so.
Do you now feel comfortable?
So, yeah, right now I don't have to worry. It took me a while to kind of to get rid of that.
Foreman also shed some more light on his thoroughly unexciting physical therapy appointments.
Coming to the physical therapy and there is like beds and you're sitting and there'll be you, there'll be some woman in her 60s and some guy and like a worker from construction. We are like all lifting our legs, and we're discussing, we're talking. It's boring.
But that boredom is about to pay off when Foreman steps into the ring against Paul Wolak on the undercard of an event featuring the man who beat him at Yankee Stadium last summer, Miguel Cotto. Foreman was asked if he was up for a rematch.
Yeah, of course. I always had the desire, you know, it's up to, of course, the Bob Arum.
That prospect was brought up when I asked Vice President of Boxing Operations at Bob Arum's promotion company, Top Rank, about the possible shot to Foreman's ego at appearing on the undercard of the Cotto fight.
You can draw comparisons that, you know, if Yuri puts on a great fight and Cotto wins, why not do a rematch? And it's right there on the same card. So, you know, there's some benefits to it as well, instead of just saying, well, it's a step backwards to fight on his undercard. It's never a step backwards to fight on a Miguel Cotto card because of who Cotto is.
And who does he think Yuri Foreman is?
He's almost a household name, and not just in Jewish communities. People know Yuri Foreman, and you know, well, he's the Jewish fighter who can fight, you know, and he's shown that, and he'll probably show it again the rest of his career.
To hear more from Yuri Foreman about boxing, parenthood, and even an acting career, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.